Your phone buzzes. You look. Nothing important. You look again 10 minutes later anyway. You tell yourself it's a bad habit. Something wrong with this generation, this decade, this device. But the real answer is far stranger. The urge living in your thumb right now is close to 2 million years old, and it has almost nothing to do with the phone at all. Picture your ancestors standing at the edge of a forest 300,000 years ago. A twig snaps somewhere behind the tall grass. She doesn't know what made the sound. She doesn't wait to find out either. Her eyes dart toward it instantly, automatically, before a single conscious thought forms. That flick of attention wasn't optional. It was survival. Every human alive today descends from people who checked. The ones who ignored the rustle, the shifting shadow, the distant call, simply didn't pass on their genes as often. Over hundreds of thousands of generations, a very specific circuit got wired deep into the brain. Researchers call it the orienting response, first described in detail by physiologist Ivan Pavlov, who noticed that animals and humans reflexively turn attention toward anything new, sudden, or unexplained in their environment. It isn't curiosity in the way you think of curiosity, it's older than that. It's automatic. Here's where it gets strange. Your phone doesn't know the difference between a predator in the grass and a notification from an app. Neither does your brain, not really. A buzz is novel. A buzz is sudden. A buzz is unexplained until you look. So the orienting response fires exactly the way it would have fired for your ancestors' twig snap, flooding your system with the same ancient instruction. Check now. Figure out what changed. Stay alive. But there's a second layer to this, and it's even sneakier. Psychologist B.F. Skinner ran experiments in the 1950s using pigeons and a lever. When the lever released food every single time, the pigeons pressed it occasionally, calmly, without much urgency. But when the lever released food at random, unpredictable intervals, the pigeons pressed it obsessively, sometimes for hours, sometimes even when no food came at all. Skinner called this variable ratio reinforcement, and it produces the strongest, most compulsive behavior loop ever documented in psychology. Your phone runs on the exact same schedule. Sometimes you check and there's nothing. Sometimes there's a message that makes your whole day better. You never know which one it will be. That unpredictability is not an accident of technology. It is the single most addictive pattern a brain can experience, and app designers have known this since the earliest days of the smartphone. Think about that for a second. Your ancestor's brain, built to scan for danger in tall grass. A pigeon's brain, built to peck at an unpredictable lever. Your brain, scrolling a feed at 1 a.m., wondering why you can't stop. Different centuries. Different species even. Same circuit underneath. There's a third piece, and it might be the most human one. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying primate social groups and proposed that human brains evolved specifically to track relationships, gossip, and social standing within a group of roughly 150 people. Knowing who liked whom, who was angry with whom, who had power and who didn't, wasn't idle interest for early humans. It was information that kept you fed, protected, and included in the group that kept you alive. So when a notification promises a comment, a like, a reply, a message from another person, it isn't just novelty pulling at you, it's social information. Your brain treats it the way it once treated news of an alliance forming or a rival losing status back at camp. Except now, instead of tracking 150 people around a fire, you're plugged into a feed representing millions of strangers, all firing that same ancient alarm at once, all day, every day. Does that sound exhausting? It should. Your brain was never built for this volume. It was built for a tribe you could see with your own eyes, not a scrolling wall of faces that never ends. Here's the counterintuitive twist. The problem was never willpower. You are not weak for reaching for your phone 40, 80, 100 times a day. You are running software built for a world that hasn't existed for most of human history, being exploited by a device engineered, deliberately, to trigger exactly the reflexes that software was designed to protect you with. The orienting response that once meant survival now means a dopamine loop with no bottom. The social tracking instinct that once meant belonging now means an infinite feed with no edge. Neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky, who has spent his career studying stress and reward circuitry, points out that dopamine isn't really about pleasure at all. It's about anticipation. The chemical spikes hardest right before the reward, not during it. That's why the moment before you unlock your phone often